Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey there, MJ friends, checking in on everything. We're going to look at CGC, WEED, TLRY, CRON, APH, ACB, OGI, and N. Wild action today. We got that 180 turnaround that we were looking for, and that was to be expected in terms of the psychology of what was going on. We had a huge day yesterday. We had a huge gap up open today, and we saw significant profit taking. And why that profit taking happened so quickly is because there's no support from where we opened at... Where were we here? 55.69 on CGC. As soon as we break the low of the day, there is literally no support until down at 52.49. So it's very easy to fill that gap very quickly, which we obviously did. So I personally locked in all of my swing position. I sold a little bit after hours yesterday. I sold this morning. So I had no position heading into the open and I was looking bearish. And then of course, Fidelity broke my heart and didn't have any shorts available after having tons of shares available to short yesterday. No shares available to short today. So my entire game plan was thrown out the window, and I could have played puts, but I hate the liquidity and the trading in terms of the bid and ask spread and things like that on those options. So I basically had to watch what would have been a wonderful trading opportunity just pass in front of me, but I did end up playing that bounce, and that was nice, and traded a few more times within that. So essentially what we're looking at right now is very clear patterns on the hourly time frame, and they're tightening up. And the daily candlesticks are so huge at this point that we have to zoom in to get any details. And we have very clear volume climax on CGC, one of the highest volume days ever. In fact, the highest volume day ever. Massive amounts of money. We know that volume climaxes often signal the top of uptrends or the bottom of downtrends. This is an instance where we have to be cautious of it signaling a top. So we're going to be watching this hourly pattern tomorrow, and it's going to give us some nice direction early in the morning. We have the high, low of the pullback on the same candlestick. Lower high is resistance at 54.73, and the bulls are trying to form a higher low, but we did not see enough of a bounce at the end of the day for us to be confident that our higher low has been established yet. At this point, it's 51.01. If tomorrow we hold 51.01 and make our way back to 53, we'll say, all right, our higher low has been set. The range is continuing to tighten. If we pull back and break 51, we'll look for a higher low to form somewhere compared to 48.63. So this is the kind of move where selling on that gap up open obviously locks in a lot of profit and allows you to then reload on a day like today with that gap. Very easily allows you to reload with more shares even just an hour later. So at the dump, how did I play the dump? I scale into oversold bounces, and when the 5-minute RSI got oversold, just as a general rule of thumb, if there is a ticker or a name coming off of an all-time high, the first time it hits 5-minute oversold RSI, you usually get generally a good bounce, and the first time it hits hourly oversold RSI, you generally get a good bounce. So this 5-minute RSI dumped, and it did get down to oversold when we were at the low of the day. That RSI was down right around 30. So I began scaling in. My first order was a little bit early. It was in the mid 51s. Then I scaled under when 50 psychological broke. So I had a pretty decent average, and I did lock in profit on the initial bounce because the last thing I want to do is subject myself to any losses after locking in the gap up open and having a really good start to the day, and then just having the opportunity for Constellation Brands touts projected cannabis growth. Who cares? They're just piggybacking off another headline. That's nothing new. Anyways, so I'm going to lock in my profit on a bounce where I'm then fighting against the trend on the 5-minute time frame. And after the amount of the move that we have seen, I will gladly put that icing on the cake, lock in that profit, and then wait for more clear setups. And obviously, had I held and sat through all this volatility, my account would have fluctuated huge amounts, which I would not have subjected myself to. But I just locked it in on the initial bounce on the way up and had another little solid gain there, and did make some other trades throughout the day. But one thing that is notable, again, the correlation to SPY. This is the 5-minute time frame of CGC. We compare it to the S&P 500. I know I keep pointing this out, but it's important. And I use this information to make a trade today and to bail out of a trade. So here we are. Look at this correlation with the dump. And it's all, crisscrossing over each other, but it's very clearly significantly correlated all the way to where we bounced and then all the way to where we topped out and started pulling back. The high of the bounce for CGC and the high of the bounce for SPY were directly at the same time. It's not a coincidence. If we look at it on the hourly time frame, they're in very similar patterns. Pullback, bounce for a lower high on the hourly, and trying to form a higher low. So again, keep an eye on SPY throughout the day. And what I did for SPY with the trading here is on the 5-minute time frame, I saw weakness in SPY before I saw it in CGC. And I'm not going to be able to find it exactly, but I exited. I believe it was right here. I exited right here at 53.70 or so and 53.10, which were some break-even levels. And then I avoided all the downside at the end of the day. So keep an eye on SPY. There are definitely correlations there, but as simple as it can be, it's all about the hourly time frame for CGC. Depending on how we break this hourly chart, we're either going to head back to test the all-time high or start further daily consolidation. Again, I would favor further consolidation, but this market has obviously many times in the last 2 weeks given us scenarios where I can look at a chart and say, all right, I know this pattern. I've seen this pattern 10,000 times. I know what the most likely scenario is. And there's been a handful of times where the most likely scenario doesn't play out and it plays out to favor the bulls because of that extra buying pressure. So in this instance, I definitely always keep in the back of my mind how strong this sector is overall, but I would anticipate a daily inside bar. Wouldn't surprise me tomorrow, just with our range to tomorrow fitting completely within the range of today, and then we'll take it from there. So first we watch the hourly equilibrium, then we watch the range of today's candlestick, and again, likely we trade within it. So just to get the WEED levels, obviously the same setup. We're looking at our resistance level, support, lower high, and again, we're not confident of the higher low. So resistance is 72.16 and 74.45. Support, our support we're not sure of is 67.25, but after that it's 64.20. So very clear levels to be watching into tomorrow. And again, we're going to get a lot of good information tomorrow in the first hour of trading. TLRY is just absolutely astounding. And again, I don't have any doubt that Andrew Left and Citron aren't really familiar with trading the crypto or the Canadian MJ space. And I think they are in a lot of trouble. They obviously are in a lot of trouble. They're hurting. They have either already covered for a loss or they're in a big red position. And it's very clear, if you're betting on TLRY to go down because of correlations in the sector, you're betting on CGC to go down. It is very unlikely in this current market environment that TLRY is going to go down without CGC leading the way. So you have to keep that in mind. And the options are getting pretty crazy on TLRY because the volatility is so high. The implied volatility is leading to we had members that entered puts and the price is $8 higher on TLRY, over 10%, or essentially 10% higher than where they entered their puts, yet they're in the green. And that's because the implied volatility is causing the premium to go up. So it's a very interesting scenario watching those options get priced. But the bottom line is the bulls are holding on very well, and they saw a surge almost to $100. The hourly time frame here is even more bullish than any other individual name. Right now, TLRY is the lead bull in the sector, and I can say that very clearly because we hit a new all-time high and a new high of the day after the open, and nobody else did that. And I actually haven't looked at all the small names, obviously, but nobody else out of the major names did that. That's very notable, and we're going to form a higher low on this consolidation. Support right now is 88.10, but even if that breaks, anything above 73.54 is still a higher low. So another one with the range on the daily candlestick so large that we could easily see an inside bar form tomorrow. But as far as the hourly chart goes, there's no red flags for the bulls at this point. And if you are shorting here, it's definitely, again, you're shorting the sector because TLRY is going to hold up as long as the sector does, is what we've been seeing the last week. Cron here, huge follow through as well. Shorts got trapped here. Huge response. Pretty much if you put your CNBC, you put your CEO on CNBC, your stock's going to run. We've seen this time and time again with all this hype going on. Very surprising. This is one of those scenarios where absolutely the most common scenario, and maybe 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 times, we're going to form a lower high here on this bounce and be unable to break 12.79. Obviously, the pump to CNBC and shorts getting trapped on the gap up open had a big factor in this surge to new all-time highs, but it's one of those scenarios where the most likely scenario does not play out and it favored the bulls. So we go to the hourly, we have the equilibrium to be watching, same as SPY, high, low, lower, high, bulls trying to form a higher low. We're not convinced that has formed just yet. Support is 1207 and 1130. Resistance is 1328 and 1339. So if we break that resistance, 1328, we're going to be right there at the all-time high. Bulls still holding on here as well. We're going to have to lose the hourly higher lows to change that. APH, also big indecision day. These are all bearish reversal candlesticks on the daily time frame. And again, it's similar to what we saw back a week and a half ago with those other bearish reversal candlesticks. Again, let's just look at CGC real quick. So we had a little bit of a gap up top. We pulled back another day and bulls bought the dip. Obviously, much bigger of a range here. But for APH, same thing, hourly. Obviously, the sector is extremely correlated if everybody has the same pattern. High, low, lower high. Not confident in our high or low yet. 1836 is our not confident support. Support after that is 1754. Resistance, 1949 and 1994. So people like to knock technical analysis, but it's so clear what we're looking at. If one level breaks, the bulls are very clearly in control. If another level breaks, the bears are very clearly in control. And if you don't have this visual data depicted in front of you, I can understand how people get so overwhelmed with the markets and they just don't make sense. But when you can see it depicted like this, it makes completely perfect sense. We're tightening up after a lot of volatility, and we're going to see a clear direction set tomorrow. ACB, sorry for these bulls. Still holding up, but obviously not partying. Not the party parrot party that everybody else is seeing. So we have our high and our low, much weaker lower high here. Same old story for ACB. It'll change at some point, but not anytime soon. And we're looking at support of 857 and 845. Resistance is 881 and then 9 psychological and then 931 after that. Still certainly favoring the bears overall. And if we do see weakness in the sector, we're going to be looking for ACB to head back into the low $8 and upper $7 range. So obviously still weakness, unable to break the high from just a few days ago, which everybody else blew through. So lots of unhappy holders there. OGI, very clear resistance, 675, 670, 673, 673, 669. We've got 5 tops within a 6-cent range. Hourly, let's see if we're set up with everybody else. A little bit different look, but we have our clear resistance in the 670s. Our support down here, we bounced off of support 635 and 636. This channel is just really clear, specifically in the past 2 days. Our lower high is 664, and it will be a very clear bull or bear break with all of these bounces off these similar levels. And again, tightening range just like everybody else. So a clear exit signal for a lot of bulls and a clear bearish entry signal for a lot of bears. And you better believe that there's bears top fishing these resistances, entering positions, and they will exit if 675 breaks. But as long as 675 doesn't break, we've gotten some pretty decent pullbacks from that resistance zone. So similar tightening pattern, but a little bit more price history from yesterday involved as well. Not the case for most individual names. And bulls, huge follow through on the gap up open. Hourly support, same as everybody else. So high, low, lower high, and a higher low attempt, but we're not confident in it yet. Support is 267, 262, and 251, and the bulls have to see a break of 289 and 292 for any continuation. So still holding those hourly higher lows, lose hourly higher lows, and daily consolidation will be underway. And again, very cautious as bulls up at these levels, but there is certainly still tons of opportunity and volatility in both directions. One note for CGC is I actually had to scale back my position size today because the bulls and the bears flushed through all of those levels in the first hour of trading today, and they cleared everything out. So it was thinly traded for the rest of the day. So I couldn't play with my normal position sizes. They were really hard to get filled. The bid and the ask spread was anywhere between 5 and 10 cents. It just wasn't that normal, really tight, really fluid action that we were used to seeing, and that definitely made it harder to trade. So I dropped down and started trading half of my normal position sizes to adjust to that, and we will see if that changes. I do believe it will change tomorrow because this range is tightening. More support and resistance levels are being set. More market makers are going to position their orders in these zones. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. Stay protective out there. Have your game plan established heading into the day. Respect those stop losses. And don't overtrade. Always a good idea to stop trading if you're in a bad streak or even if you're in a good streak and you want to lock it in. Don't give those profits back. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Heading to Iceland over the weekend and into next week. So who knows when those videos will get out. I will do my best. Have a good night. The Chart Guys. Technical analysis. No FUD, no FOMO. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. All-time high.
Lift off.
Trade like a robot. Higher low, lower high. Are we in a bubble? The Bulls versus the Bears. Stick to the chart. All time